Good morning, everyone. My dear Stitchers, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. I am Judy Whitman with JBW Designs, and this is video number 56. And today is May, I think it's the 18th. I've lost track here. It's a Friday. And so welcome to my office and my home. It's finally spring in Michigan, and you can see from the windows in the background that the leaves are finally out. We get spring very late, but this morning, excuse me, my lilacs are overwhelming me. I went out to pick a bouquet of lilacs for you to see and a bouquet of lily of the valley. So it's my favorite time of year. Things are in bloom and the gardens are calling to me because they need so much work. So once again, I have been gone for 3 weeks. And I told you about it in the last video. We actually flew out to California, I think we've been home a week, to attend a memorial service for a young friend of ours who passed away. And it was a beautiful service. Her family did an amazing job. And you know how hard that is. And then we took 3 days and we went down the coast to Monterey and Carmel and Big Sur. We hadn't been there in, gosh, over 20 years. So it was a wonderful kind of a short trip, and now I'm back and working again. And I have so much to share with you today. Always I want to start with a thank you. Thank you to all of you who watch, who write me the most lovely comments and send emails. It is so appreciated because you have so many choices. There are hundreds of floss tubes now, and I know it's hard for me to keep up with all of them, so I always appreciate those who take the time to watch. So thank you so much. I want to first address a question that was in the last video and several things that I forgot to tell you in the last video. And this often happens. I kind of write a list of notes of what I want to talk to you about, and then I go back and watch the video after I've finished it, and then I look and see all the things I forgot. So here are just a few updates. First of all, let's see. I talked about the Bluebird of Happiness stitch along, and I forgot to mention 2 gals who are just adorable, and their names are Sarah and Jenn, and their video is called Stitchy Friends, and they are also working on the Bluebird design. So if you have a chance, take a look at what they're doing. It's always fun to watch them. I also forgot to mention, I believe, the name of my framer, and this time I'll try to remember to put that in the note section below. And her name is Lisa, and she is with L&M Framing in Ohio, and she does beautiful work. She framed the Bluebird of Happiness for me. I just got another model back from her earlier this week, and it just looks fabulous. So I just am so happy with the work that she does. I also forgot to mention that I asked all of you to help me name a book, and this was probably 6 weeks ago, and it was a new design. It is kind of a Quaker saying. It says, joy in work for labors all, make the work and effort small, and this is called Joyful Purpose. And so I chose one of your suggestions for the title of the book, but then I never acknowledged Susan, I think was, yes, Susan W. was, Susan, you are the official namer of this book, and if you happen to watch in the next couple weeks, just email me and I will send the book out to you because I was so appreciative. I had lots of great suggestions. It was very hard to choose. And then I think I also forgot to show you the pins that Teresa and her daughter make from Jersey Girl Stitch Company, and I need to put their name in the notes below also because she designed the most gorgeous pins. I have to sort them out here. So this set of pins, let me see, I'm sorting here. Let's see, this is going with the kit. So she did 2 other sets of pins that can go with Eliza's French Birds, and also I did a booklet called Eliza's Sewing Smalls. I'm probably making you dizzy here. But in this booklet, there is a, let's see, how can I show you? I'll have to bend it a little bit. There's a darling little pin cushion. So she designed these pins to go in that cushion. And so she designed this set, and there's actually another set also. Aren't those gorgeous? So I am going to give away one of her set of pins today, and we'll talk about that towards the end when I talk about prizes. And then the third set of pins that I'm not sure I ever showed you was the pins that go with the kit called Lina's PinKeep Pillow. And I've mentioned this before, it's at a trunk show. I can't wait to show it to you in person. But these are the, let's see if it's kind of a glare there, are the gorgeous pins that go with this kit. So if you are doing the kit and looking for the pins, Teresa would be the one to contact. The other thing that I did not show you, and while we're talking about Lina's PinKeep pillow, is this is actually the antique sampler that I used as inspiration for that pillow. And it's so interesting, of course, because this is worked in wool, 1872. Stoft sounds like a Pennsylvania German name, although I don't know where she's from. But I ended up stitching her over one on a, I think a 28 count or 32 count fabric, and then it made just this darling sweet little PinKeep pillow. So that was the inspiration for that kit. And then I also have talked to you many times about Eliza's French birds, and I think last time I had forgotten to pull out the sampler that was used as inspiration. Now this is going to look very rough, and it is very rough, but I love how it turned out. I can't tell you how many people are stitching it. I'm just stunned every week. I'm getting orders from my distributors and from many other shops reordering the design. So it's been kind of remarkable. And of course, this is just an adaptation that I've done. So I'm going to first show you, this was the whole sampler. Whoops. And I have it sideways. Yes, I did. All right, so this was the sampler that I purchased, and it was framed, and getting it out of the frame was very difficult. In fact, you can see on the back that it had been glued to a backing. And I bought it at an antique show here in Kalamazoo last summer, and so I didn't want to reproduce the whole piece. The first thing I saw when I bought it was that center section, which I just thought was stunning. But then also, as I studied it, I could see that there were motifs that would lend themselves to smalls. So I'm going to fold it again so I can hold it here. So these are the motifs that I used for the smalls. So I used this corner section to make the little scissor case. I used this section to make that little pin cushion I just showed you, and then I also used this little round to make a round wreath to make a scissors keep. So that was the inspiration for Eliza's French birds. And if you're new to my channel, I can show you what the booklet looks like. So, and this was framed by Lisa with L&M Framing. Isn't that a gorgeous frame? So those are the things, some of the things that I forgot to show and tell you last week. So then I have two other topics here. One is a gal wrote, I didn't write down her name, and she wanted to know if the ornaments, and I'm going to show you more this week, are if you can stitch them on Aida. And yes is the answer. You absolutely can. I always in the booklet give, and we're going to talk about that because I have a new booklet coming out, will give you the size for stitching on 28/1, or stitching it on 28/2, or on 32/2, and they still make lovely ornaments. So if you were stitching on a 14 count Aida, which is equivalent to a 28 count linen, you could work these perfectly. There are no half stitches or I don't think there are even any back stitches, it's just cross stitch. So the answer is yes, Ada would work. And I want to encourage all of you who work on Ada to not be frightened by working on that. And then the last question had to do with a gal that wrote from New Zealand, and she wanted to know if there were any shops in New Zealand that distributed my designs. And I had for years a wonderful distributor there. Her name was Sherilyn. She was with Heirlooms. She had a beautiful home office studio. She not only carried many designers, but she also designed herself. And the saddest thing happened. Her home was hit by a cyclone, and I think it was, I'm not sure when it happened, months ago, and everything was destroyed. And I can't imagine, for all of you who have gone through anything like that, what it's like to lose your home and really your life's work. So I didn't think that I was going to be able to sell anything in New Zealand unless a shop picked me up. And actually, last week I got a note from a gal named Helen who has an online shop, and it's called That Crafty Kiwi. And so I just sent her a large package this week. So yes, my designs are available in New Zealand. So contact Helen. Hopefully they'll get there within the next month. So there's another product that I want to show you that there's kind of a funny story that goes with this one. So I think I might have shown you this in the video where I talked about my designs for Nashville. And I had ordered these wooden discs from a company in France called the Bee Company. And I've carried her products before, and I love them because they're great to use for finishing some of my designs. So I had ordered, I don't know, quite a few hundred of these wooden discs at market and sold out of them. And so I immediately wrote to the owner, and this was in March, right at the end of the show, so it would have been like March 7th, and wrote to Delphine and said, I need several hundred more. Well, and she's very good about shipping. Whoops, wrong way. So this was the design that I had used shown at market, and it was stitching in the round that would fit beautifully on this round wooden disc. So Delphine, as always, sent off a package. Well, that box got stuck in customs, U.S. Customs, and for some unknown reason, they decided that these wooden discs, and she sent me some other wooden tags that I use also, were dangerous. And so it was so frustrating. She kept sending more paperwork. We knew they were held up in customs, and I was trying to write to them too to say, you know, this is not, they're not dangerous. They're just little wooden discs. And for gosh sakes, they sent them all back to Delphine. So in the meantime, I have all these back orders from Nashville Market for these wooden pieces. And if you have a shop that's waiting for them, they finally came yesterday. Thank goodness. So last night I started assembling them all, and I will start working on the back orders this afternoon. So these poor things have traveled the world. They've gone back and forth and finally have arrived once again. So it was kind of an odd and funny story. So now I want to show you something that I think all of us who stitch also love to do crafty things. And this, what I'm going to show you, is not my original idea. But if you happen to follow and are familiar with Tanya from the Scarlet, I wanted to say Scarlet Letter. No, that's not right. Oh, dear, dear, dear. I'm going to have to look it up again because I thought I remembered her name. Let's see if I have it written down. Let's see. I've written down Scarlet Letter. I don't think that's right. So let me check. I'll write a note to myself when I find out exactly what it is. She's a designer, and she has a company, and she designs beautiful antique samplers. But she has started creating these beautiful little sewing boxes. And what she's been doing is she's been buying jewelry boxes. And so I bought this on Amazon. I think she's also gotten some at Target, and they come in different sizes. This is actually quite small. I thought it was going to be a little bit larger, like I didn't pay attention enough to the dimensions. But anyhow, when you purchase them, you can take out the insides of the jewelry box and instead start putting in all kinds of sewing accoutrements. So this is the box that I have created. And I'm going to take out a few of the pieces because otherwise everything is going to fall out. So I took out the dividers that are down in the base, and I put in a piece of French General fabric that I had shown you in my last video, and I just love this line of fabric. I love blue, so I just cut a piece and used a spray adhesive to put it in the base here, and then on the top pocket I just sewed just a row of antique buttons that I had. I have some of Teresa's pins from Jersey Girl Stitch Company. I have a pair of scissors and a little scissor fob that Annie from the Proper Stitcher had sent to me. This is a little floss ring right here. This is a pin from, I'm trying to remember her name too. It's real sweet. She does pins often for the attic and for Hands Across the Sea, Nicola. And it's just a sweet little pin because it has all those little sewing accoutrements on it. It's just kind of a box to put pretty stitching things in. So in the base of the box, I remember that I had an old needle crystal crystal holder. I'm not giving you the right name at all, but I'll pour it out here. So I can store my needles in that, and it's fairly small, and I can secure the top, so I can put that in there. And then I have my little device that I use for pulling short threads through. I'm sure that has a name too. And then I put in something that I did for the Bluebird of Happiness design, because I'll be able, this is a needle keep, so I'll be able to thread needles and put them in here before I start my project, and I thought that would be handy. And then I also found another pair of sweet scissors, because you never can have too many scissors in your little box. So it was just so much fun to put together, and I want you to, once I give you Tanya's correct Instagram address, see the beautiful things that she has created. She's done a lot with red, and she's put in all this beautiful ephemera, papers, and old tags. It's just very clever. I should add a ruler to this too, and I've been trying to think of other things, although the inside is fairly small, so there's not a lot of room. So that was my little creative project from a couple weeks ago. So what is my next news? My next news has to do with my new release. And I'm so excited because this morning, just before I was getting ready, everything ready to film, one of my helpers, Dawn, sent the rough draft for the new ornament book. So I can at least, I haven't even proofed it yet, but I can at least show you what it's going to look like. So this is Christmas Ornament Collection V. And as you know, if you followed me before, I have, and I'll show you the other, I'll show you what the booklets look like. They're spiral bound. So each booklet has 20 ornaments in it, and each booklet has 20 different ornaments in it. And they're fairly, I would say, easy to stitch because they're small, and people love kind of getting ahead. Like I know people who are doing like an ornament a month. This would be perfect because some of these only take a night or so to finish. So here's Christmas Ornament 1. Here's Christmas Ornaments 2. Here is number 3. And here's number 4. Now we started out with what I thought was a great idea, and then we ran into supply issues, which is not surprising. So when I started out, I wanted each booklet to have a different color spiral on it so that it would separate when you are looking at the booklet, so you know they're all different. Well, we ran into problems because one of the colors that we chose was back ordered, and it was taking weeks and months to get it. So I'm sorry to say that they're not falling in the pattern that I would like, but that's okay. They all work, right? And the beauty of a spiral bound book, of course, I can't show you some of these pages here because they're have charts on them, is that you can lay it flat to work it. So each page has one chart on it, and then I can show you from afar and all of the information that you need for colors and symbols, etc., to stitch those ornaments. So today what I want to do, I showed you 5 or 6 of the ornaments last time. They're all done, as you can see. I photographed them the other day. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the rest of the ornaments that you didn't get to see in person. And this is a lot. So I probably will try to do it quickly so that you are not overwhelmed with the ornament collection that I'm going to show you. So these were just so much fun to do. Some of them come from booklets, and I'll talk about that I designed years ago. Some of them are new designs, and some are adaptations of old designs. And in the booklet, I will tell you where the design was originally from, just out of curiosity, because some of them are from quite a while ago, actually. So let's see. The first one I'm going to pull up here is French Country Reindeer. This appeared in a booklet quite a while ago. I didn't pull the booklet to show you. It's still in print, but I worked this over one. My finisher chose this darling little candy background for the finishing, and I love the way it turned out. And this design was very popular. There were some finishes that were very unique that were posted on Pinterest years ago. And for some reason that just captured people's imagination. You know, when you see a finish that's so clever, you think, oh, I can do that too. So here's another one of the designs. It's called Noel. That was from an older pattern also. And this was finished with a beautiful stripe on the background. This is a new design, and I can't even remember what I named it. Probably something clever like White Heart. Which isn't clever at all, but I love the way it turned out. It was fun to design, and think of how easy that would be. That's just white on a red 28 count fabric, or you could do it on a 32, of course, over 2. All right, let's see the backing on that is just a little polka dot. All right, this was from a book that was published not that long ago, a couple years ago. It's a little cornucopia tree. You can see the back. Most of them are finished as flats. And if you want more directions on how I finish, just write me a note. I've done it in past videos, but I'd be happy to review it again. I can kind of give you a quick lesson of what I use, what my finisher uses to mount the pieces on, how the cording is made. And it's fun once you try it. As Annie always says, you have to try it, and you'll get better and better the more you do. And I can give you some hints on some finishing things that I have learned from the professionals. So this is just a little tree of hearts. Looks very Scandinavian looking. This was actually an adaptation from a design called Christmas Bells. And so it was actually a set of 2 bells, and I took one out and just adapted it to a single ornament. It actually kind of sits on its side like that. So it's very similar to my French country designs, which are filled with motifs. This was another pattern that was actually quite old, and I changed the look of it a little by stitching it on a very pale green fabric. And I love the look of that. It's just a green and a little pink on there, and I think it's quite striking. I finished that one with just a little green background there. Let's see, here's another one. It's probably hard to see this, but this is a little wreath that's made up of holly leaves. And you can see it's quite small. It would be fast to stitch. That was finished professionally with a darling fabric on the back. All right, this was a stocking that appeared in a book called Petite Stockings, I think was the name of it. And you can see kind of what it looks like. It's got a stocking in the center and then rows of borders behind that stocking and the word Noel at the top. And look at the backing on that, isn't that cute? So that's the little petite stocking. This was a new one actually. I just called this Reindeer with Snowflakes. And this was taken from a booklet that I have that is, it's called French Country Stocking. It's actually quite large. I'll have to get that out to show it to you because it has so many motifs in it that you could use for other projects. I mean, it would be great to take out many of those motifs to make ornaments. And I just finished this with a little Christmas fabric. Here's also one. This was called Christmas Doves. And there is a dove in another one of the past books. I always liked this one because it was kind of made up of little flowers. You could put a date on that if you wanted to. This was finished with a pink ruched ribbon edging. All right, we're getting to the end here. This too was an older pattern. It's just a little heart tree. Very small with a little border on it. And a Christmas backing. This is a tree that reads Joy, Love, Peace. And that too is from an older pattern. I have two more to show you. This is a wreath that's made up of the alphabet. Let's get that closer so you can see it. They're all intertwined. It's hard to see it, but all of the letters are there. And then the last one I called Christmas Village, and the gal that works for me said, oh, that was her favorite. She just loved how that turned out. Because it was so tiny, I mounted it on a disc, and then I mounted it on a second disc. So just let me know if you need more information on the finishing process, and I'd be glad to review that again. So when is this coming out? Well, I think I am going to be going to StitchCon, which is an event which I'm sure some of you know about, that is held in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's actually in Sharonville at the Convention Center. It was started, I believe, 5 or 6 years ago by Barbara at Keepsakes, and it's very popular. They open up the registration in the fall. It's hosted for 2 separate weekends in June, and I am going to weekend A, and I'm very excited because I have never been before. There are 300 people who are coming, and many of the people who are coming also have floss tubes. So I'm going to be meeting tons of new people, but I'm also excited to see people that I've met before at other retreats and who I know. So it's going to be a fun weekend. So my plan is to release this booklet at StitchCon, but also at the same time I will be stitching the booklet to my shops who are on my automatic list. And so if you're interested in it and you need a shop name who will be carrying the book soon, just write to me and I can give you a shop that's in your area. But I'm very excited about it. So that will be my June release. I'm only going to release one booklet in June, but I'm working on quite a few others to release for our August show. So what do I want to tell you about also? Let's see. I know. One of the things that I like to do is I like to support independently owned needlework shops. So I today am featuring a shop, and you know my high-tech method of doing this. So let me get out her name and information so I can hold it up for you. This is a shop that is in Baltimore, And the shop name is The Stitching Post. Melinda is the owner. You can see her email address there, her phone number. She has been a customer for years, and I always see her, she and her husband, at market. She often reorders during the year. She's very good about ordering my designs when they are out of stock. So if you're looking for, and she's also on my automatic, which means she gets everything that I produce automatically. So if you're looking for that Ornament Collection book and you don't have a source, you might think about calling Melinda. I'm sure she'd be happy to. She doesn't even know the book is coming out yet, so we might have to warn her that she might be getting phone calls. But so I am supporting Melinda's The Stitching Post this week. And I hope that you have a shop that you feel good about calling and asking them to send you whatever you're needing, fabric, fibers, patterns, etc. They love getting mail orders, and it really keeps them going. So now my last couple notes are, I have one person from the last video who wrote a comment who won a prize, and her name is Jenn. And she wrote to me and said, "Oh, I'm so happy I won." And I wrote back and said, "Please email me," and it's judy@jbwdesigns.com, and tell me what you want. And I never heard from you again, Jenn, so please try again, because I want to send you a prize. Now, how I choose my prizes is different from other floss tubers. I don't ask a question. You don't have to make a comment. Well, if you want to win a prize, you do have to make a comment. But I just go through and I look at how many comments were made. I go to the random number generator and have them, I'm going to take a quick sip of tea, I'm losing my voice. I have them choose 3 numbers out of that total. This is it's so funny, because you probably think, oh my dear, you could do it so much easier, but this is the way I work. So then I go through and I say, okay, look, number 67 was chosen, number 32, whatever the 3 numbers were, I go through, I count, and that's how I choose the names. So the names that are winning this week are Josie, Josiec, Lydia, S, and Pat, Z. And so once again, if you hear your name announced, you can choose any of the titles that I've talked about this week, and just write and tell me what you'd like. So what else do I have on my list for today? I always like to do quotation and then tell you about what I'm working on. So I am really hunkered down, shall we say, to work on the designs that will be released at the next show, which is an online show for shop owners at the end of August. So I'm going to be releasing Bluebirds of Happiness to shops. I have another design that I showed you that was the inspiration for that is ready to go. I have a third design that I have charted and stitched 1 model. I'm stitching the 2nd model, and I have ideas for 3 more. So, there's not a lot of time, because you have to make sure they're published, of course, and charted, etc., and the text written by very early in August. So you can see I'm running, I need June and July to get more done. So keep your fingers crossed, but I am working away. So I've often talked about this. The best way to contact me is my email. I'll put that in the notes below, judy@jbwdesigns.com. I also have a website, and it's jbwdesigns.com. There is a shop on that website. If you go up to the headings across the top, one of them says shop, and if you click on that, it will show you the patterns that I have available. They are all older patterns. As I mentioned before, I try to support my local needlework shops, so I don't send newer patterns, or I don't post newer patterns on my website. That's just the way I work. The other site that I have that's proven to be very popular is called Friends of JBW Designs, and that's a Facebook page. And you have to join. Everybody gets in. And every once in a while, it depends on my schedule, I post a picture of 3 of my older designs, and I did that earlier this week. I think my lilacs are taking my voice away, and excuse me, and I need to move them, I think. So this week I posted 3 older designs, and I just asked people to tell me what's your favorite. And you know, it's just fun to hear why people choose and what they like. Some like them all, they can't choose at all. But anyhow, once again, I go through that list and I choose a number, random number out of that list of people who have written and voted, and they win all 3 designs. So this week I posted some very spring-like designs, and I meant to go down and get the models, and of course I forgot that step. So I posted French Country Bicycle, which is very springy looking with the flowers. I posted Flower Cart, and I wish I had gotten this model. The model is gorgeous. The photograph on the front here just does not do it justice at all. I don't know why. It just doesn't look crisp to me, and I must not have proofed it enough before publication, because I've always looked at it and thought, oh, that's kind of sad, because it's so much prettier in person than it is on the cover. And then the third design I asked people to vote on was French Country Love. And these are all patterns that were published, gosh, quite a while ago, 2017, 16, and 2007. But they're still available. You could order them through your shop. And let's see, do I have anything else to tell you? My Instagram. I do post on Instagram also. Oh, let me go back to the Friends page. The reason I have that page is that people post projects of my designs that they have finished. And it's so much fun to see how they finished them, how beautiful they are, how unique they are from my original. And that was my intent. I want to inspire you to try other ways of finishing your projects. So my Instagram name is judy.whitman. Now, my next video may be delayed because once again, I'm traveling in 3 weeks down to StitchCon. So if I'm organized, hopefully I will be able to do a video that Friday before I leave. So keep your fingers crossed. And then my quotation for the day is, kindness doesn't cost a thing, yet it's the richest gift you can give. And that is how I feel about the people who are in our stitching community. You are the kindest, nicest souls I've ever come across. It's just quite remarkable, and I'm so grateful for you. So today, this morning, I had some kind of sad and worrisome news. My neighbor Sue, who works for me, her husband was in a car accident last night and is in ICU at her local hospital. And I'm really worried about both of them because it was very traumatic. He had an aneurysm and had to have an emergency surgery. So keep them in your prayers and positive thoughts. And I'm trying to think of what I can do for Sue today. So if you have any ideas, just write them. Thanks so much for watching again, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.